Throughout the 1980s, heavy metal essentially rose out of nowhere and was a way for young individuals to rebel against the system and get out bottled-up anger they may have had. But the genre of metal that was for letting all that loose in particular was thrash metal, one of the first true genres of heavy metal. Thrash metal was characterized by long hair, torn denim, leather, beat-up sneakers, heavy music, distorted guitars, lightning-fast guitar licks, screaming vocals, and not a single care on how society looked at you. You were there to rage, mosh, headbang, let out your inner rebel. It may seem silly now, but when it first came out, it was serious business. It was a lifestyle, and in many ways still is to this day. One of the leading thrash metal bands to hit the scene way back in the day for the first time in 1984 was Megadeth, led by frontman and lead guitarist Dave Mustaine. Dave Mustaine was originally lead guitarist for heavy metal band Metallica. However, his hard-partying ways and his drinking habits led to his dismissal. He did ask them if they not use the music that he wrote while with them, but they did anyway. He then sought out to create a band that was heavier, faster, and to be more successful than Metallica. He then met up with bassist David Ellefson, drummer Gar Samuelson, and lead guitarist Chris Poland. But with Gar's appearance into the band, he brought troubles with him as well. He told Dave Mustaine, "If you want to be good, you have to do heroin." "Okay," replied Mustaine. Megadeth's first record deal was with Combat Records, who gave Megadeth $8,000 for music production. They used half the money for drugs and other substances. In 1985, they recorded their first studio album, Killing Is My Business and Business Is Good. Track number 5 was Rattlehead, and it was about exactly what you were supposed to do when you listened to it. Bang your head and thrash out to Megadeth. Slashing to Megadeth! It was an instant success, and put Megadeth in the big four thrash metal bands, along with Anthrax, Slayer, and rival band Metallica. Despite the overwhelming popularity Megadeth had on the heavy metal scene, Dave still didn't hold a candle to the success Metallica was showered in. From then until 1995, Dave and his heavy metal juggernaut Megadeth recorded 5 more metal albums, each one having that heavy, fast, and technical Megadeth sound. Peace Sells But Who's Buying was the second album, and songs like Peace Sells held the same level of heaviness, but had an even darker tone. Following their second album were albums So Far So Good So What, Rust in Peace, Countdown to Extinction, and Euthanasia. Look at me, I don't believe in God. Talk to him every day. However, by this time, Dave had already gone through a total of 9 different guitar and drum players. The lineup was now pretty solid with Ellefson on bass, but Nick Menza on drums and legendary Marty Friedman playing guitar. Many people to this day argue that was the best lineup Dave had in Megadeth, which spanned from 1990 to 1998. After Euthanasia, Dave took the sound of Megadeth and experimented with it, drifting away from the heavy metal scene and inching its way toward popular rock. The album's Cryptic Writings in '96 and Risk in 1999 were recorded and had a softer tone that was far from any of the early albums. Dave, however, was not happy with the direction Megadeth was going, and wanted to get Megadeth back in its roots in full-on heavy metal. This, however, was not what lead guitarist Marty Friedman wanted, so he left the group and Dave picked up Al Pitrelli. Megadeth then signed with Sanctuary Records, and they produced The World Needs a Hero in 2001. However, during the majority of Megadeth's 84 to 99 work, Dave's drug use would always get in the way of his work, oftentimes checking in and out of rehab, and in one case, much similar to Nikki Sixx of Motley Crue, ended up overdosing on heroin and for a brief period of time was pronounced legally dead. Paramedics, however, were able to bring him back to consciousness in the nick of time to save his life. One day in 2002, while waiting to be seen at a treatment center, Dave suffered a freak arm injury, which meant he could not make a fist with his left hand. Doctors told him he would not be able to play guitar again. Megadeth then split up. In 2004, Dave proved doctors wrong. He regained full movement in his left arm and reformed Megadeth, but with Chris Poland back on lead guitar, Vinny Colaiuta on drums, and Jimmy Sloss on playing bass. They too were not in Dave's band for too long. It was around this time, too, where all the money that was put into rehab was finally paying off for Mustaine. He was clean, a new person, and it was at this time he wanted Megadeth to get a new start, going back to the full swing of thrash metal, back to his roots. They released their 10th studio album, The System Has Failed, with hit songs such as Blackmail the Universe. It brought Megadeth a solid stance on the metal scene again.
This is breaking news. It appears that Air Force One was shot down somewhere over the Middle East this morning by a sleeper cell of rogue terrorists firing a Stinger missile. The pilot and all passengers are unaccounted for. The president's whereabouts are present.
From then until now, Megadeth has been in full swing as an active modern-day musical group. In 2007, with the lineup of Sean Drover on drums, his brother Glenn Drover on guitar, and James Lomenzo from Black Label Society playing bass, United Abominations was released with devastating singles Sleepwalker and Gears of War, an album that, like most of Dave's work, was centered around political events. Megadeth's most recent album, Endgame, was released last year. It features new Megadeth guitarist Chris Broderick, who is undoubtedly the most talented guitarist Dave has ever had. His insane licks and solos are all over the album, and practically put Dave Mustaine's highly respectable playing to shame. Recently, bassist David Ellefson rejoined Megadeth, and embarked on the Rust in Peace reunion tour earlier this year. Dave originally formed Megadeth as a rebuttal, to get back at his former band and former friends Metallica. While Dave was never able to outsell Metallica like he had originally wanted, he left quite a footprint. Megadeth's success is still to this day outstanding, selling over 25 million albums worldwide. They were awarded a Genesis Award for Best Album, Countdown to Extinction in 1993. 8 Megadeth songs have been nominated for Best Metal Performance, and Dave Mustaine was recently dubbed both Riff Lord from Metal Hammer magazine and a Golden God from Revolver magazine. Dave and Megadeth hold a legacy. With a career spanning over 27 years with only a 2-year break, Dave still represents metal to the fullest, but for a number of years he did it with a syringe in his hand fighting his drug problem. With years of rehab, he was finally able to overcome his addiction and to this day is as active as he was when he first started, only with a clear mind and a new outlook on life. He has said that in this day and age he does not see the end of Megadeth's reign coming anytime soon. Despite being almost 50, his ambitions are high and his skills on the guitar have never been better. He survived the music industry, and no matter how hard he ever fell, he was always able to get right back up and spit in your face. His contributions to the metal industry are undeniable. You may not like his music or his personality, but Dave is a living legend that should never be taken lightly. The only explanation you need is Megadeth.